So, obviously, everyone wants to hear about your take on Jordan Love. Now, I've already talked about Jordan Love a little bit. I'm just going to kind of recap what I've said about him if the people have not heard it already. I like Jordan Love a lot. As the player, Jordan Love, I think that he's super ultra talented. I thought that Joe Burrow was the clear-cut best quarterback in this year's draft. I felt that Tua Tagovailoa was the second best quarterback in this year's draft. And right behind him was Jordan Love. But I actually said that I would probably rather draft Jordan Love over Tua simply because I think that his ceiling is much higher than Tua Tagovailoa. And his ceiling, in my opinion, is slightly on par with Joe Burrow. You know, he has the arm talent. He has the accuracy. I mean, when Jordan Love is going right, he can become a legit quarterback, in my opinion. The only real questions I had was his turnovers. Can he get off his first and second reads? And I'm all about, okay, this player may not be NFL ready quite yet, but if I can develop a guy and play to his strengths and just coach him up a little bit, give me the guy with the potential. And Jordan Love had arguably the best arm in the draft outside of Jacob Eason. So I do think that Jordan Love, sitting behind Aaron Rodgers, it's a perfect situation for him. He's going to be able to learn. Aaron Rodgers is a master of not making mistakes. He doesn't turn the football over. He's very efficient. So I do think that if Jordan Love takes Aaron Rodgers' coaching, if Aaron Rodgers decides to mentor him and just learns the playbook, I believe we have something pretty special in Green Bay. I don't think that he's going to be quite what Aaron Rodgers was. I mean, that's pretty much impossible. You'd hope that Jordan Love is just even a top 10 quarterback. That'd be pretty good, I would say. But yeah, I like the player. My problem with the pick is I don't like the direction the team is going in drafting Jordan Love. My mentality is this. I would rather win a Super Bowl or two and miss the playoffs for about 1 or 2 seasons than maybe get back on track. That's just my mentality. I love to hear what your thoughts are on this. But yeah, I'm the guy that wants the rings. I understand that the Packers want to be competitive every single year. I appreciate that. As a Packers fan, the last decade and a half, the team has been very competitive. I'm so happy that we have not been the Cleveland Browns. So there's something to be appreciated with that. But also, when you have a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, and after the season that we had, we were 1 game away from the Super Bowl, man. And I just feel that at this moment, it should have been all about maximizing the current roster to try to beat San Francisco. Because outside of San Francisco last year, I think that in the NFC, we could have beaten any of those teams. I really do. And so it'd be one thing if Aaron Rodgers was, 38, 39, 4 years old, and you want to draft a quarterback, that's fine. But we look at teams like the Saints. The Saints, if there was a team to potentially draft Jordan Love that had a veteran quarterback, it was actually the Saints. But nope, they got Drew Brees and offensive lineman. They are going all in to win this year. The 49ers, they got Jimmy Garoppolo, another wide receiver. You can look up and down. The Buccaneers, they got Tom Brady and offensive lineman. So my whole thing is when you don't draft a wide receiver in the draft, and wide receiver was a need for our team to help Aaron Rodgers in a very wide receiver rich draft, that's kind of disappointing. And I just think that Green Bay, I think that they're all in as far as trying to win a Super Bowl this year, but at the same time, I just think that the direction of the team is kind of going more towards the future, more so than trying to help Aaron Rodgers out right now. Because while I look at our team, yeah, we're good, but you can't just always return the same team in the NFL and expect to do better than you were the previous year if you didn't win the Super Bowl or be at the same pace. It just doesn't work like that in the NFL. So I want to get your thoughts on the direction of the team as far as drafting Jordan Love. What do you think of Jordan Love as a player? And what are your thoughts on the Packers going Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers, basically?
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot there. So, the Jordan Love pick, he has a pretty low floor, but he also has a very, very high ceiling. His 2018 season was really good. His 2019 season, a lot of forced balls, didn't have a lot of wide receivers, but also made a lot of poor decisions. And I think, when you're sitting behind Aaron Rodgers, one of the most accurate quarterbacks of all time, I think obviously that is definitely going to help. And I said if we were going to draft Jordan Love, he needs to sit for a couple of years. He needs to sit for at least 2 years. And that's an arbitrary number, but he needs to sit for a good long while. On top of that, I know when Goody came out after the draft and he was asked that very question about drafting a wide receiver, he said, that it's not that he wasn't targeting a wide receiver, but by the time that they had their pick, their wide receivers were gone. And by that time, later into the draft, they did not think that they could get someone this season that could help the team out this year. Now, at the same time, obviously, Jordan Love is not going to help this team this year unless, Aaron Rodgers gets hurt or something, then we have a backup. A.J. Dillon, I think is going to get the reps over Williams if Williams is even going to still be on the team this year. So he'll be able to help on a rotational basis. DeGuara is going to, I think, be used in a lot of looks, but, I talked about this last week with Dusty Evely, and talked about how, tight ends really don't have a huge impact usually their first year. So you're not going to see a ton there. I think Kamal Martin was a good pickup because I think that he will be able to work with Kirksey side by side because no one knows what's going on with Oren Burke. And then we decided to go 3 offensive linemen in the 6th round, which hopefully one of them pans out. So I think that, this is definitely more of a draft for the future. It's not necessarily that I don't think these guys can not help the team win this year. But I think also going out and getting Christian Kirksey is going to be helpful. We definitely downgraded when it came to getting rid of Bulaga and replacing him with Wagner. But other than that, I don't think the team really regressed a whole lot, and I think it's really our success this season is going to be dictated on can our guys step up? Can MVS, can EQ, can they make plays? Can Alan Lazard take another step? And if the answer is yes, then we're going to be good. But, I mean, again, there are still a lot of question marks when it comes to our run defense. Is Montravius Adams, a 3rd-rounder in 2017, going to get cut? Because he has had no production. Is any of the guys that we just picked up, like Trayvon Hester or Willis from Miami, going to make an impact? I mean, those are kind of like outlier players who I'm not expecting a lot from. But I think at the end of the day, Goody also expressed some confidence in this team this year. Because if you're saying that, they went to the NFC Championship game, that means that team had to have been pretty good in order to do that. And I think when it comes to you were mentioning before about if you don't change, that doesn't necessarily, you're not going to win a Super Bowl that year. I mean, yes and no. I mean, you look at the Chiefs and their offseason for 2019, they didn't make a ton of flashes. They were pretty much a similar team. They lost D Ford. So I would say that their pass rush actually got worse. But it was another year with Patrick Mahomes under center, and I think that that's what Rodgers needs. He doesn't have a lot of experience with the wide receivers that are on the field because we're essentially rolling with, draft picks who haven't really produced and undrafted free agents and a new offensive scheme. So I think that you're going to see improvement from the Packers offense just because there's been more time spent together. Again, with the Jordan Love thing, I didn't like where it was picked, but I understand it because if he turns out to be the next Aaron Rodgers, not a single person is going to be complaining about this draft in a few years.
Yeah, I will push back a little bit on what you said about the Chiefs because I look at the Chiefs, they fixed their defense in the offseason. They went out and got the Honey Badger. They, drafted Juan Thornhill, a very talented safety, and things of that nature. They traded for Frank Clark as well. They lost one of those players, Houston or D4, I forget which one it was, but they at least kind of got a little bit younger on that defensive line. So while the Chiefs kind of stayed the same on offense, I would say their defense definitely improved. They also got rid of their defensive coordinator and brought in Steve Spagnuolo. So the Chiefs did revamp their roster a little bit, but I do understand what you're saying right there. And again, like you said, Brian Gutekunst has definitely shown that he believes in this team. And I do believe in this team as well, but I also believe in keeping pace each year. And I just think that, you could say, we're bringing back the same team this year. Well, guess what? This same team got boat raced by the 49ers twice. And I'm kind of upset that we didn't get a Patrick Queen. I'm kind of upset that we didn't draft a defensive lineman in the first round. That's just how I feel. And I just think that when you're in a window to win a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers, it's win now mode. I literally made a video, about 2.5 weeks before the draft because there was the rumors that Jordan Love would be there. Personally, I didn't think that it would happen at all. I was very shocked when it happened. I wasn't super mad simply because I like Jordan Love as the player. I do think that Jordan Love is going to be great, but at the same time, we've gotten some of the best quarterback play in NFL history from Aaron Rodgers. And we've only got one Super Bowl to show for it. Now, you could talk about the defense. You could talk about the lack of a running game. You could talk about the coaching issues. I get all that. But at the same time, as far as the quarterback that we've had, I mean, it doesn't get any better than Aaron Rodgers, honestly, man. And it's just one of those things where I feel like that Jordan Love has to be really good. I hate to put these kind of expectations on him because Jordan Love did not draft himself, but when you trade up to get a guy like Jordan Love, when you have a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who's still playing very good football, he may not be the best quarterback in football anymore, but I think that he's still top 5. I think that he's still elite. When you trade to get Jordan Love, and people say that it's the same thing as when we went and got Brett Favre. Brett Favre contemplated retiring before the season. So the team was saying, okay, maybe Brett Favre's not all in with football. Aaron Rodgers has said, I want to be a Packer for life. I want to play into my 40s. And also, Brett Favre did not get to an NFC title game. So that's my whole thing. I think that it's comparable to the Brett Favre situation in that, okay, you're preparing for the future and you want to groom the next guy. I get that. But at that current state, the Packers were not in position to be as Super Bowl ready as this team is right now. This team just needs a couple more pieces. I think that you could put this team over the top. So again, maybe the guys step up. I'm really hoping that Marquez Valdes-Scantling steps up this year. I'm really hoping that the run defense improves. As you mentioned, we went out and got Kirksey in free agency. Kamal Martin, hopefully he provides a spark. But at the same time, I just have issue that, let me say this right now. If Jordan Love is just good, I'm going to be disappointed because you can get a good first-round quarterback drafting, when Aaron Rodgers is 38, 39. You can find a good first-round quarterback. A long time ago, quarterbacks in the first round were just kind of, 50-50. Nowadays, all these first-round quarterbacks are playing and contributing at a high level. Even Dwayne Haskins, even Josh Rosen, even Mitch Trubisky. I still think they have potential. Dwayne Haskins got better as the season went on. Josh Rosen, he was put in a bad situation in Arizona. I think that if you put him on a stacked team, he's at least a starter, and Mitch Trubisky has won a division in the past. So, again, if Jordan Love wins us a Super Bowl and becomes the next great quarterback, then I'm not going to complain one bit. But we're really banking on Jordan Love, and I like Jordan Love a lot, but I have my questions, man.
Well, so to your point, how would you improve this team then? Is it just through the draft?
We could have got Patrick Queen, man. Patrick Queen, I felt was the perfect pick. Patrick Queen was the perfect pick.
Okay, so in that case, okay, so we go and get Patrick Queen, then are there no issues then on the team? The reason I bring that up is because right now we have zero cap space. We have no cap space. We have enough to sign Kenny Clark, but if we go and sign anybody else, we're gonna have to make some cuts, or we're gonna have to trade people away. So I understand the idea of we're in the win now mentality, but that's also how you turn into the Denver Broncos, and you might win a Super Bowl. And if you get out of that, great, wonderful. I mean, you mentioned before, okay, you go all in, and then 1 to 2 years you suck. But usually that's not the case. You're usually bad for a lot longer if you start mortgaging your future, and you might be seeing that with the St. Louis Rams, who went very, very cap heavy, and look what they have to show for it. They got to the Super Bowl, yeah, but then last year they didn't even make the playoffs. So I think it's one of those things that I understand the want and need to be hey, let's go sign this guy or this guy or this guy, or even drafting. But we also have to take a look at it from this way too. Anybody in the first round could be a complete and total bust. You brought up Josh Rosen before. He's not good. He is.
No, I agree. He's not panned out. He's not panned out at all. I agree.
But what I'm saying is there is zero guarantee. You could look at first round quarterback off Paxton Lynch, Johnny Manziel, Gabbert, Ponder. Hell, even Tim Tebow was a first round QB. You look at these guys and there is no 100% accuracy on anybody. Joe Burrow could be one of the biggest busts of all time. You could go and get a guy in the first pick, and he could not work out. Look at Jamarcus Russell. You look at these guys, and they don't necessarily pan out. I understand wanting to get somebody, but we should know about any team about first round busts. You look at guys that we've picked up in the past. Go back to just the 2015 draft. Right? And there's not a single guy left on this team from 2015. The entire draft. And you look at it, our first round pick, Clinton Dix, Demarius Randall, Dayton Jones, Nick Perry. These guys aren't on the team anymore because they were bad. And you can even go to second round pick. Josh Jackson hasn't panned out. Third round, Montravius Adams, Oren Burke. A lot of these guys can be complete misses, and you can totally blame that on the front office, and that's totally fine. I think that's just a different conversation. But I think just because, we draft somebody doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work. I think if the Packers are looking at Jordan Love and say, not only are we going to go get him in the first round when we could get other guys, like, because we could have gotten him over Patrick Queen because he fell down to the end of the first round, but to trade up to get him, they obviously saw something very special in him. And honestly, that's going to make or break Brian Gutekunst in a few years because, like you said, if he's just an average QB, yeah, the pitchforks are definitely going to start coming out because there have been some, I'll say, risky drafts under Gutekunst in which they haven't really done incredibly well. You look at the wide receivers from 2018, Jamon Moore, no longer on the team. MVS, his future, who knows what's going on with that. EQ, obviously coming back from injury, I hope he does well. That hasn't really panned out. Rashawn Gary was a super risky pick. Josh Jackson, who knows what's going on with that. If Jordan Love turns out to not be good, yeah, that's going to be really, really problematic for the Packers and for Brian Gutekunst. But at the same time, every single franchise is looking for the next Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, list whatever great quarterback you want. And very few actually get them. And if we wind up getting one, and that's a big what if, then this is basically a home run draft, even if everybody else busts out.
Yeah, Brian Gutekunst definitely took a risk, and again, I admire the risk taking, but at the same time, I just pushed back on it a little bit. This better work, Tom, man. As Packers fans,
absolutely, you're right.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, like if this whole draft like turns out to be bad, yeah, like that's going to be a serious problem. I mean, look at Ryan Pace with Mitch Trubisky. They traded up to go get him, and look how that worked out. Now they're bringing in Nick Foles and have to pay him a whole bunch of guaranteed money. You know, things aren't really going great in Ryan Pace world right now, and the same thing will happen to Brian Gutekunst if Jordan Love and some of the other guys don't step up.
Yeah, and I've always said that you can whiff on a defensive lineman. You can whiff on a linebacker. You can't whiff on the quarterback. No. Look at Jacksonville. They had a very good roster a couple years ago. Blake Bortles couldn't get them over the hump. So, I mean, yeah, you look at the Bears. You know, they've drafted really well. They have a lot of good players. Mr. Trubisky can't get it done. So, again, we still have Aaron Rodgers under contract. And my thing is, if we were going to make this move, why make Aaron... I don't know. Because my whole thing is we committed a lot of money to Aaron Rodgers. We made him the highest paid player in football. And my whole thing is, like I said, if he would have been around 38 years old, 39 years old, I get it. But I just feel like these next 2 years should really be invested in doing every single thing we can to try and maximize this Super Bowl window. And I just don't. Jordan Love doesn't help us right now. Now, I will say we have a solid backup quarterback. I don't know if Jordan Love's going to be ready to play, right away. Like you said, he definitely needs to sit for a year. I said the same thing in my video when I, talked about Jordan Love. I do think that he's going to be a great quarterback, but he needs to sit for about a year. But yeah, like you said, this is going to...
Like, you also look at it this way, too. Like, we also can look at previous drafts, too. Like, Kingsley Keke from last year, a lot of people are expecting him to go off this year. And he kind of needs to, because you're talking about the lack of a run game or the lack of a guy to line up next to Kenny Clark, and you're 100% accurate. So, like, we could have guys like Keke who step up, and then all of a sudden our run defense is significantly better. Again, is that going to happen? Nobody knows. But at the same time, we also can look back at our past few draft classes and be like, okay, we need some of these guys to step up. And if they don't, we're going to have some serious problems. And that's when you start looking at the front office and going, okay, this is the problem. I mean, look at inside linebacker. We spent a third-round pick 2 years ago on inside linebacker with Oren Burks.
Yep.
And it just has not panned out. So that's what I'm saying is, like, I understand like, I wanted a wide receiver. Hands down, I wanted a wide receiver. But we didn't get one. Now, we do have a bunch of wide receivers on the roster. I'm not, like, over the moon about Devin Funchess or anything. But I'm saying, like, there could be guys that we have drafted and spent some high draft capital on that need to do their job. And if they don't, that's when you look at Gutekunst and go, you did not draft well. But, this is when I just looked at the 2017 draft because you got to wait at least 3 years before you start judging a draft.
Yeah, that's fair.
Coming up. This is Goody's first draft. He hit in 2018. He hit with Jair Alexander. Josh Jackson hasn't done anything. Oren Burks hasn't done anything. Jamon Moore is no longer on the team. There's going to start to be some questions asked if this doesn't pan out. And like I said, the picks have not gotten any less risky. He did very well last year, I think, with Darnell Savage and Jenkins, and I think Sternberger is going to be very good. But again, there are a lot of what ifs floating around in Green Bay right now.
I agree. And again, I am rooting for Jordan Love, and I think that Jordan Love's going to do pretty good. My only question is, will he win a Super Bowl? Only time will tell. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the Juice Alert Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. And I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I currently am a freshman there right now. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the Juice Alert Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God bless day, and I'm out.